We are going to start today's class laying down, actually. So just come to a comfortable position on your mat. Now, you might want to have the soles of your feet on the mat, maybe spread them a little bit wide and drop the knees in towards each other if that feels okay. Or maybe you have the soles of your feet together and open up the knees here in Supta Baddha Konasana, or maybe just finding your Shavasana. Yeah, so just find the variation here that feels all right for you today. I'm going to opt for this version where I'm stretching my internal rotators. So by having the feet on the outside of my mat and then just gently dropping my knees in towards each other. So here, just a little note, remember you can always adjust the pose to your liking. So maybe you're rotating your toes more out or more in if that feels better for your knees, or you can also have your feet closer or further apart. Now, hands out to the side as usual, either palms facing up if we're feeling a little bit more open and receptive, or we can go ahead and place the hands on the floor or the palms facing down if we're feeling that we want a more internal experience here today. So we're just going to take a moment closing our eyes and then centering ourselves as we normally do. So we start with just listening, and we're going to notice everything that we can hear. So just scanning our hearing. What are the sounds around us? Maybe what are the sounds that our body is making? And then we're just noticing without thinking, judging in any way. Noticing if you have any tensions in the body. We're just trying to release, grounding ourselves here, releasing tensions, releasing stress in the body. Becoming more and more present. Without moving anything, we're going to just slightly move our awareness from listening to feeling. We're just going to start to notice what we can feel. So maybe just start feeling with your hands, with your feet, maybe your face. And then gradually here, trying to include more and more of your whole body. So eventually maybe we're able to feel with our whole body at the same time. So the top of our head to the tips of our toes and our fingers. Trying to feel everything that we can feel. So the temperature in the room, the surfaces that are touching the mat and the floor, the weight of the body, any breeze in the room, any sensations going on inside of the body. We're just noticing everything here, and again, becoming more and more present, more and more aware, without judging. And finding a nice and slow, even breath. And then we're going to move our awareness slightly back to this idea of listening, but we're going to try to feel and listen at the same time. So trying to notice both the sounds that we can hear in the room around us, maybe the sounds inside of us, and also what can we feel. So anchoring our focus, our thoughts on these two senses, listening and feeling. So now that we've hopefully connected with these two senses, and if it's a bit much, maybe you're just connecting with one at a time, let's try to keep this presence, this awareness that we've now created as we move throughout this practice. Now, if you're familiar with Ujjayi, this active breathing, then we can go ahead and connect with that. So basically closing the mouth, breathing in and out through the nose, and then maybe creating a little tension in the back of your throat. So it becomes a bit more of a whispering or H sound. And if you're familiar with the bandhas, these internal locks, we can go ahead and activate these as well. Root lock, stomach lock, and throat lock. And when you feel ready to move, then we're going to gently move the legs, pulling one leg into our chest. And then we can hold gently on our knees or our legs, and then just finding a few movements here that make sense for you. So maybe some slight rocking back and forth, side to side. Maybe you're lifting your head as well. And then dropping our feet back down to the floor, a little bit of space in between. We're going to have our arms out to the side, and feel free to place your palms facing down here, and then a slight pressure in the arms for some support. And then we're going to drop one knee to the same side. So we're creating a little spinal rotation. We take a deep breath or two, and then when you're ready, we're going to bring one knee back up and then change sides. So thinking sort of like a windshield wiper on a car as we go up and down to each side. And then here, just feel free to find your tempo. So some people like to go a little bit faster here. Some people like to go a little bit slower. But as this is going to be a little bit more of an easier and gentle class, I can recommend that we just take things nice and slow here, focusing on the sensations, so listening and hearing and breathing, and just finding this stress-free, easy, calm, present body. Go ahead and do 1 to 2 more breaths here. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring both of the knees up. So we can bring the feet together, dropping the knees down to each side. So a little passive stretch here for your hips. You can decide where your feet are and how close they are to your hips. And then we're going to do something similar with the arms and with the shoulders. So we're going to bend both elbows so the fingertips are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to drop the hands down towards the floor, first in one direction. And then we're going to go the other way and drop the hands to the other side. So we're doing some internal and external rotation for the arms and shoulders. And here, just nice and relaxed, so we're not pushing or forcing anything. Nice, even, deep breaths. And just finding your own tempo here as well. We'll go ahead and do 1 or 2 more breaths. And when you're ready, we're going to bring the arms back. So maybe the palms are down, or just leave them here in cactus arms. So the fingertips pointing above the head. Bringing our feet back, we're going to press into the soles and start lifting our hips, and then move through the whole spine, trying to lift one vertebrae at a time until we come up to this half bridge position. And then from here, rolling down again through the spine. So we're working those spinal segmentations here on the floor. So pressing into your feet, rolling up, and the same thing, just finding your own tempo. Now, if this feels okay, I could recommend that we start to push our fingertips more over the head and start pushing to this top end of the mat, yeah? And rolling down. Really just taking your time, trying to activate the legs as much as we can, pressing into the whole sole of your foot and feeling for each vertebrae at a time. Trying to curve the spine and arch the spine more and more for every repetition. Still connecting with this active Ujjayi breathing, still connecting with our bandhas. Last repetition here, and when you're ready, making your way back down again, laying on the mat. All right, very nice, everyone. We're going to move into a little stretch for the hip and the back of the thigh. So we're lifting one leg up to the ceiling. Now, you just grab a hold where it makes sense for you. So maybe you're holding onto your pants or your tights or just around your leg, anywhere that suits for you. So we're going to start with just a gentle bend in the knee and in the ankle. And then we're going to stretch and point the foot. So we're bending, a little pull towards the chest, and then straightening. And we'll do one more. And once we come up here, after we've done a little point, we're going to start to flex the foot. So we're pulling our toes towards us and then pull the rest of the foot down as well. Now from here, you're probably going to feel a greater stretch in the back of your thigh. We're going to try to rotate the knee and toes out to the side. And then we're going to come back in again and then rotate internally. So external rotation and internal rotation. Very nice. Now from here, we're going to do a circle with the foot. So we're trying to make the biggest circle possible with our ankle. First going one way, and then we're going to go the opposite way. And we'll do a couple repetitions here per side. So just warming up, connecting with everything that is called foot and toe and ankle and leg. And let's do one final repetition. And then we can bend the knee and try to pull that heel in towards your hip as much as you can, and then straighten out again. And if this feels okay, let's go ahead and push the toes out to one side as we bend the knee and straighten. And then we push the toes to the other side as we bend and straighten. We'll do one more repetition. Push the toes to the other side and bend and straighten the knee, and push the toes to the other side and bend and then straighten. So from here, arms out to the side, we're going to rotate the knee and toe out again. We're going to pull this leg towards us and then try to open it out to the side. And then we're going to bring it back again. Now, if this feels really heavy, just feel free to go ahead and bend that knee as much as you need. And then you're going to open up this thigh, this knee down towards the floor, and then back again. We'll do one more. So opening to the side and back again. Excellent. Let's change sides. So the other leg is coming up. Feel free to grab a hold for a little extra support. And then we're going to bend the knee and flex the foot. And then we're going to straighten the knee and then point the foot. We're going to do two more. So nice little bend and a nice little stretch. Feel free to increase that depth for every repetition. And stretching out here. So when we find that point, that straight leg, pulling the leg gently towards us, and then we can pull the toes, and then pull the foot towards you. Staying here for a second. We can start to rotate the knee and toes out, back to center, and rotating in and out and in. We have one more round here. So pushing out and squeezing it in. Okay, so find that active leg again, and then we're going to focus on the foot. So then we're pushing the toes to one side, making the biggest circle possible with the ankle. Nice and slow movement here. So we're sending this communication to our different joints. So in this situation, it's specifically on our ankle, and then we're trying to move it in its full range of motion. So just keep switching back and forth here every second round. And just telling our ankle that we need it to be able to ankle. So we want it to be able to do as much movement as possible. So time under tension here is the key. If you're moving too fast and going too fast through all your tissues and your nervous system, then your body isn't really going to get the memo what it is that we really want it to be able to do. So nice and slow intentional movements is the key here. All right, so we're back again. Now we're going to open up, we're going to push the knee and toes out to the side, and then we're going to open that leg to the side, and then we're going to squeeze it back in again. I can recommend having the arms out to the side as some anchors, and if this is difficult, then just go ahead and bend the knee, and that'll make it a little bit easier. So opening it to the side and squeezing it back in again, and then we're going to do one more round. Opening to the side and then coming back in. Very nice. Let's drop the foot down to the floor. So keep your feet here if you want to, or you can stretch them out if that feels nice for your legs and for your hips. And we're going to focus on the arms this time. So we're bringing one hand up in front of us, and we're going to do the same type of a thing that we just did with the legs. So we're going to bend, and then we're going to push and point the hand all the way around here. So depending on how much movement you have in your wrist, and then we're going to bend and push. And we have one more. So bending and pushing. So from here, keep this angle. We're going to rotate the arm one direction and then rotate the arm the other direction. We got 2 more rounds. So here I like to think of the upper arm that I'm rotating this section. Yeah. And then I'm just adding my wrist here as well. Good. We'll do one more. So rotating and coming back again. From here, we're going to move on to the wrist. So we're going to pull the hand towards us. Try to keep your fingers and your knuckles straight, so without bending the hand. And then we're going to move out to the side. So here I'll rotate a little bit so it's easier to see. And then we're going to pull it down. We're going to move the hand in, and then we're going to flex. And then we're going to move the hand in, pull it down, move it out to the side, and up again. So we're just doing circles here. It's the same thing that we just did with the ankle. So just feel free to follow your own tempo. And going in huge circles. We'll do one final round. Communicating to everything that is called wrist and telling our wrist that we want maximum flexibility in our wrist. Okay, good. Let's just shake it out there. Now we're going to do the same thing that we just did with the shoulder. So let's cross the arm over the body. So I'm hugging the arm into my chest, and then I'm going to move this arm over my head. And then I'm going to pull it back again. We got 2 more. So hugging the arm, moving it over my head and back. And then one more round. Hugging it over my head and back. Okay, let's change sides. So the other arm is coming up, so don't really worry the placement here. You're just going to bend the elbow, pull your hand towards you, bring the arm down towards your chest, and then you're going to press it up again, and then flex the hand or pointing the hand. Pulling down and pressing, and pulling down and pressing up. From here, we're going to try to rotate the arm, so keep the hand pointed or flexed, depends on what way you're looking at it. You're going to rotate, again, thinking the upper arm here, rotating from the shoulder, and then rotating. So if you pay attention to this upper arm here, you see that I'm trying to move it from the shoulder, yeah? Internally, and then externally. Okay, let's do one more round. And back again. So essentially what we're doing is here we're communicating with the shoulder joint and what we were just talking about, that we're trying to use it and connect with the most internal stuff and then moving outwards to the most external stuff. Let's go ahead and do the hand. So straight arm, keep it nice and stable, pulling all the fingertips towards you and then moving the hand out to the side. So I'll adjust a little bit so it's easier for you guys to see. Pulling it down, moving the hand in and then the other way. And then we go out to the side, moving it down, moving it out and then behind, okay? We'll go ahead and do a couple more rounds here for ourselves. Nice and slow and intentional. Okay, and then one final round. And then you can maybe try to find a flow the whole way around. All right, excellent. So we can shake it out a little bit. Now we're going to take this arm and hug it into the chest. Move it nice and slow over your head. Trying to push the fingertips to the wall over your head, and then we're going to hug it back again. And we got 2 more rounds. So moving it through and over and coming back. One last round and back again. All right, very nice. Let's close the body, give yourself a little hug, shake it out, do any movements that you need, and then when you're ready, you can come up to sitting. Okay, so just finding a nice comfortable sitting position, finding some length here. I'm just going to check that you guys can actually see me with that sun coming in there. So let me try to Find this pose. Okay, we're going to move into our spine and our neck. So starting first with the neck, and we're going to do the same thing. So just connecting with all the vertebrae and trying to tell them that we want each vertebrae to move as much as possible. So find some length in your neck, and then we're going to pull our chin in towards our throat, staying here for a second. And then we're going to rotate the nose to the other shoulder, or to one shoulder. And then you're going to pull your ear towards that same shoulder. So doing a little side bend, and start moving your head backwards behind you, pushing your nose up to the ceiling as you move the head over to the other side, and then pulling that ear down towards the shoulder. Then rotate the nose down towards the shoulder, and then coming forwards and up before changing sides. So coming forwards, rotate the nose to the side. Good. Same ear to the shoulder. Moving it back behind us. Rotating the nose. Coming forwards and up. So we're going to do one more round. I'm just going to change positions here. So feel free to come up and sit in your hero pose. So we're putting just a little bit more weight into the knees and into the ankles and the toes. Okay, so from here, lengthen the spine. We're going to curve over. Rotate to the side, ear to shoulder, circle behind, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Rotate the nose, coming forward and up, and changing sides. So forward, rotate, side bend, circle back, rotate the nose, forward and up. Excellent work. So let's move on to the spine. So the exact same movements, we're just working with the back. So we're going to curve over ourselves. So trying to squeeze the core in, squeeze the lower ribs in, and curving over ourselves. Hold this pose, and then we're going to rotate your chest to the side. From here, you're going to pull your same shoulder towards your hip. So doing a side bend, and then try not to lean over, but open up that top shoulder. And then we're going to go back, so pushing our chest up to the ceiling, coming over to the other side, rotating down, coming forwards and up again. So I'm just going to come up on my knees here, so changing my pose again. I'm also just trying to block the sun a little bit here cleverly, so you guys can see a little bit easier. So let's move to the other side. So we're curving over, rotate to the side, pull your same shoulder to your same hip, leaning back. So I'm squeezing my back as much as I can. I'm pushing my heart up, coming over to the other side, rotating towards the knee, rotating forwards and coming up again. And we're changing sides one more time. So curving over, rotating, side bend, circle back, keep squeezing the bandhas, connecting with your breath, rotating, coming forwards and up, and changing sides. So forward, rotating, side bend, circle back, other side, rotating, forwards and up. All right, you guys. So from here, let's make our way down onto all four. I think I'm actually gonna have to just close this blind a little bit as the sun is really starting to come out there. Let's just double check that things are looking okay. Okay, here we go. So moving into our spinal segmentations. So kind of what we were doing on the floor, but here we should have a little bit more freedom to go even further into curving the spine. So you can just focus on your normal cat-cow where you're doing everything at the same time, or if you'd like to, then we're going to move first in the lower spine. So here I'm trying to push my tailbone up to the ceiling and then connect with one and one vertebrae. So first the lower back, through the middle back, through the upper back, and then pushing the back of my head to my hips, stretching the whole front body, and then I'm going to curve. So here I'm actually imagining pulling my hamstrings down to then tilt my pelvis the other way, grabbing my core, and I'm trying to stretch between each vertebrae through the lower, middle, upper back, and then the cervical spine or my neck. And continuing here, take it in your own tempo. gonna do another 2 to 3 deep breaths here. It looks very nice, you guys. Okay, on your last breath here, let's just come back to a tabletop position, nice and strong. We're going to move into our hips again, and we're going to do some internal rotations. So when we're laying on the floor, we're doing mostly external rotations. So from here, just choose a leg. You're going to lift one of the legs. You're going to push your toes, your foot, your ankle out to the side. Now just keep this angle the whole time. And you're going to lift that ankle up behind you, and you're going to open that ankle to the side, and then you're going to close that ankle and then bring the knees back together again. So I'm just going to change my position here, so it might be easier for some of you to see. So I'm pushing the foot out to the side, and then I'm lifting this ankle up behind me, and then I'm opening that ankle to the side, and then I'm bringing it back again, and then the knees are touching. So I got 2 more. So lifting up behind, open to the side. Good, closing the leg and down again. Sorry, I misspoke. We're not doing 2 more. That was the last one. So we're just doing 3 on each side. So other leg, lift the leg off the floor, lift the knee off the floor, push the toes out to the side. Okay, lift the leg up behind you, open that ankle to the side, pull the leg back again, and then the knees come down and meet. So let's go ahead and do 2 more. So foot is out to the side, lift up behind you, you're squeezing your butt, open that leg to the side, pull the leg back, and the knees are meeting. Last round. So lifting up, open to the side, bring it back again, and then the knees are meeting once more. Good. And then we come back and place the leg down. So we're moving on to our shoulders again, and we're going to do some more internal rotations for the shoulders. Here, we're lifting one arm. We're going to bring it overhead where it was. Now we're going to move the thumb so it's pointing towards the floor. So our little finger is pointing up. And I'm going to lift that arm up as high as I can, and I'm going to move it as far up towards the ceiling as I continue to rotate that thumb. So big circle behind the body. Now the little finger should be pointing towards the floor. We're going to touch the floor. The thumb is pointing up, palm is facing out, and we're going to lift it up and hold. We're going to rotate the other way and then bring the arm back over the head. We got 2 more. So thumb is down, little finger up and behind. Keep rotating more and more internally. Little fingers pointing down, touches the floor. Back up, rotating, and a huge circle back again. 1 more. Thumb is down, up and back, huge circle, down to the floor, and up and hold, rotate around, and back again, and down, touchdown. Excellent. Let's change sides. So your other arm, squeezing, locking the body, lifting the other arm. So your thumb is pointing up. We're squeezing our core, rotate the thumb down, little finger up and back, huge circle, trying to rotate that arm more and more and more and more. Little finger touches the floor. Good. Up and back and hold, rotate the other way and circle back. Hold it over your head, rotate the thumb down, up even higher, rotate more, huge circle around and down. Good. And lifting up, squeezing that shoulder, rotate around and back again. And we have 1 final round. Thumb is down, lifting up as high as you can, rotating, coming down, and we're going to go up and hold and rotate and circle back, and then the arm is going to come down. Very nice, my friends. So let's just lean back, either up on your toes or up on pointed feet, finding your child's pose and just coming to a little rest here for a few breaths. And just letting those processes take some space in the body. So those signals, how we've been communicating with our nervous system and all our tissues. All right, guys, so for the rest of this class, we are going to continue focusing on these crazy challenges where we're doing modern sports science meeting traditional yoga.
And as you can tell, I'm a teacher and a coach. I love to give you tons of information explaining, what's going on, how we're training the body, how we're treating this biological system, what type of inputs that we need to do to create this freedom in our bodies. Basically, we're optimizing everything that we can so that we can have freedom and we can basically go everywhere and do anything that we want wherever we are in the world. So all this is happening over on Patreon, where I'm going live once a week, and then you'll also get access to these live classes, so you have something to practice wherever you are in the world and whenever it suits you and your time schedule. I hope to see you there. Peace, namaste, and have a fantastic day.